Excellent. How's everyone feeling after that? Yeah? Yeah, sweet. Super fun. Just all of the fun. Thrusters, burpees, all of the depth. Yeah? Right. Obviously, as we go through this, you may have a question. There is no stupid question. So, no matter how stupid you think it is, ask it, even if you think the answer is simple, because the chances are someone else is probably going to be thinking the same thing, and they're probably also going to be thinking it's a stupid question. Okay, so I'd rather you ask it there and then we can get it answered rather than sort of wait for a period of time and then forget it, yeah? Wonderful. So we'll go through today, we're going to cover nutrition, sort of the week leading up to competition, intra-workout nutrition, and then post-workout as well, just touch on that a little bit. Go through warm-ups and cool-downs, so when all of you stood there like this, going, when I said off you go, we'll go through that so you've got an idea as to how we can work through that, and we've got a basic warm-up that you can run through that's going to generally touch on everything you need for a workout. We'll then go through talking about workout strategies, depending on the workout types you're going to see when it comes to competition, and movements, different energy systems, nerve management, and sort of how you go about negotiating the day when it comes to a competition. Okay? Wonderful. Right, first up, nutrition. When it comes to, aside from sleep, nutrition is the main thing that you should be focusing on. You've got an hour in the day at the gym. Some people are luxury, they're athletes, they have home gyms, they can train whenever they want. Charlie? Yeah, yeah, okay. So we need to maximize our time in the gym. This comes from nutrition, so some of this stuff you can take away and apply generally, but aside from sleep, this is the main point we need to be focusing on. So I need to stand this side because I can't read upside down. We should be looking to sort of, when people talk about carb loading, you should be looking to introduce or increase your carbohydrate intake 1 to 3 days before the competition, depending on the length of the competition. If it's a single day competition, you don't really need to carb load for more than a day before. If it's 2 days, so Battle for the Midlands, 2 to 3 days is probably going to be a little bit better. Okay? It doesn't need to be much, it doesn't mean like we need to add in 2 extra meals. We're talking maybe 30 to 40 grams of carbohydrates more per meal over the day. Okay, so that equates to around 100 grams. Yeah? Head booch, yeah, it's okay. It's fine. So do you need to go sit over there with the dog? Yeah. Yeah, mum's coming, it's okay. Right? So does everyone understand, first off, does everyone understand what we mean by carbohydrates? Yeah? Pasta, carbs, just all of the carbs, pasta, rice, chocolate, yes, go on then, throw some more out. What else we got? Any vegans in the room? Bread, I know, right? Bread goes really well. That is actually its own food group. Yeah, okay. So carbohydrates, essentially, they're most readily available form of energy. When they break down to sugar, and then in turn we break it down and store it as glycogen in our muscles and liver. Okay. Any additional? So when we talk about energy balance as well, already going off on a tangent. So carbs go to sugar, which is glucose, and then our pancreas releases or manages our blood sugar levels by releasing the hormone insulin. Okay, so insulin then goes to store this glucose. So we get insulin, and then it stores it in our muscles. We also store it in our liver, and then any excess we start to store as fat, okay, or in fat cells. Yeah. So this is why when you're looking at losing weight or getting into a calorie deficit, this is what we're starting to use. So you're starting to use the energy that you stored as fat when you go into sort of fat loss stuff. But we're not touching on that today. We'll come back to that at another point further down the line. Really, really important that we make sure that our muscle and liver glycogen is basically topped up. So when you come into movements, we'll go through this a little bit later in terms of how we use energy systems for different workouts. but we then mobilize that as a form of energy. So we then release glucagon, which then basically creates energy, so as we go through that, and then that fuels our workouts. So if that's topped up, we've got lots of energy for our workouts. And this can be done by carb loading in the days prior. Yeah? Make sense? Yeah. Sweet. Wonderful. That looks about there. I think you said hydration? No. We should be aiming for higher quality carbohydrates as well in the days prior. So chocolate isn't necessarily the higher quality carbohydrates we need. I don't care if it's Tony's or Hotel Chocolat. Yeah, that's not high quality. Lindt is it's high quality chocolate, but high quality carbohydrates. Yeah, so you should be looking at these forms. Lower on the glycemic index. Yeah. Sweet.
What about if like pasta and bread and rice and all that stuff goes back and you feel really like large all the time?
Then we can start to reduce the actual volume and put it into smaller meals throughout the day. You can look at various other carbohydrate sources, so beans, quinoa, so you get pulses, legumes, stuff like that.
Boring stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like as much as it sounds, it is boring. Like nutrition is boring. The way we progress through training is by repeating the same movements over and over again. The way we progress with nutrition is repeating the same thing over and over again. Unfortunately, we can't go out and have a 5-star Michelin chef cook us meals all the time. Yeah, it's nutrition and training to make progress is inherently boring. It's only because we do it in a form of constantly very functional movement, performed across high intensity, across broad time and modal domains. Sorry, it's a cult. That it makes it slightly different and interesting. So you'll see if we go across our programming, we still do squat, lunge, hinge, push, pull every single week, just in a different variance. Same with nutrition. It's just different spices you add to meals to make it slightly more interesting. Yeah. So maybe again reducing the volume and having it in smaller meals throughout the day. But it's very much independent of the individual in how that impacts your sort of digestive system and how you digest food. Sweet. Any other questions on that? Yes.
This is probably dumb, but do you know when you have like gluten free?
Yep.
Is that like lower carbs level? No.
No, gluten's a protein.
Oh, so it's less protein in the carbohydrates than gluten free.
Gluten free doesn't. Yeah, it's difficult to say without looking at it, and I can't really give you an answer for that one. Sorry.
Just on that Kay's point and Chloe's point, if you do find that certain carbs bloat you or make you feel lethargic, it's a case of trying different ones in the preparation, not necessarily close to competition, but I would say try different ones and see which ones work for you, because rice may not bloat you, but pasta does, or bread does, or vice versa. So if you can find one that is a better option, then go with that one. If that's better for your digestive system, as James said. Sorry.
No, absolutely wonderful. Right. Look at that. So when we go through that, like I say, we want to be looking 1 to sort of 3 days before the competition. So if you are doing Battle for Midlands as the first competition, you don't need to be having Domino's and justifying it by carb loading on Sunday night the week before. Okay?
That is a valid reason.
That is not a valid reason. You can still have Domino's, just don't add because I'm carb loading. Yeah? I'll call bullshit. Yeah. You should be looking generally, anyway, as a general rule for protein. Does everyone understand what protein does? Protein is an imperative macronutrient in your diet because it helps repair damaged tissue. So whenever you're training, you should be looking to have a high protein diet. Regardless, as a basic rule, you should have protein at every meal. And as your resistance training, just a good guideline is either 1 gram per pound of body weight or 2 grams per kilo of body weight. So those of you working in old school, you can do that, and those of you working in new school, you've got it the other way around. Okay, as a general rule. There can be slight variances, but again, stick by that, you won't really go far wrong. I would, if you struggle or if you've got a particularly high protein target, so for me my protein target's upwards of 230 grams a day, I'm going to struggle to get that in 3 meals, so you should always have a couple of single source meals, so something like a tin of tuna, whey protein shake, single source foods in your house so that you can literally just have a high protein snack and get that in as well. So again, for me, I'll have a couple of protein shakes a day, or put a scoop of protein in some Greek yogurt last thing at night. Make sure I've got protein with every meal, and then it makes it easier for me to hit a target. For some people, it's a little bit easier because you've got a lower target. So for some of the ladies around, some of your target is going to be under 100 grams a day. Some of the bigger gents are going to be slightly larger at over 200 grams. Yeah? I don't know if you've ever seen 200 grams of protein, but that's like a huge volume of protein, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but protein, again, that's a staple that shouldn't change throughout. You should basically be having that every single day anyway, so there's no need to change that approach to your nutrition. Hydration, yes.
Is there any problem with overdoing protein? So if you're,
No.
if you're aiming for 2 grams per kilo, you're not going to hurt yourself if you manage to 3.
No. Hydration. Again, staple rule, you should all be at least having 2.2 litres of water a day. Okay. Again, sounds like a lot, but if you have a pint of water at breakfast, lunch and dinner, that's just under 1.8 litres. And then if you're training, you should have at least a litre to replenish the fluid that you've lost throughout that session. If you weigh yourself before and after a session, get another general rule, if you lose a kilo of fluid inside that session, you should look to replenish that with a litre of water. This doesn't have to be water, it can be squash, anything that makes the water flavoured. I don't really drink water because Northamptonshire water tastes like piss.
How would you know?
Played rugby for a very long time, Dean. A lot of shit I know.
That was really cool.
Okay?
Is
Yeah.
there such thing as too much?
Yes, there is such thing as too much, yes. But then that's
What would that be?
depend on the individual. Yeah, you don't want to, you basically don't want to glug down to, yeah, so yeah, you don't want to be, downing a pint of water isn't going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Downing 3 litres is probably going to do you some damage. But then if you're doing it post, like if you try to down 2 litres immediately after the workout we've just done, your body's going to say fuck off and just jack it out. So,
Electrolytes and salts and
yeah, electrolytes and salts, again, we'll touch on this a little bit later on. If you do suffer badly with cramp or you sweat a lot, it might be worth looking into electrolytes. It's difficult to prescribe an exact amount because it's dependent on the individual. A good indicator is if your salt tastes really sweaty, or your sweat tastes really salty. If your sweat tastes really salty, you probably should look at replenishing with some electrolytes. Yeah. Again, this can be done in the form of tablets. Bananas are a good source of potassium, so they're something quite easy or can help with cramp or replenishing that as well, preventing cramp. But there's actually there's no real evidence to, is it cramp or is it stitch? One of the two. Stitch. Yeah.
Different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, there's very different reasons for cramp, but yeah, if you're having electrolytes, then again, you're using tablets, start testing out with those before. Obviously, you've done racing triathlons before, fine. If you've never used electrolyte tablets before, I would suggest using them perhaps in training if it's something you think you might need. Get testing all of this stuff up until the day. Don't introduce it on the day, but we'll go through that in a little bit. Okay? Yeah.
What are the other reasons for cramp?
The furthest one to Greg. There are lots. There are lots. Salt imbalance is generally the main one in people that train. Yeah? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know any others. Sorry.
I'll take the fall.
Okay. Sweet. Poor sleep and poor nutrition are the two main reasons for poor performance. If your hydration is out, your performance is going to drop instantly. If you've had a shit night's sleep, your performance is going to drop instantly because your ability to tolerate stress and strain is reduced. So making sure these two things are as best they can be leading up to a competition are going to put you in far better stead than you going, oh, I haven't managed to train for the last 5 days. Yeah? Okay? So making sure, and that goes with nutrition, all of your hydration, all the way up and leading up to that point as well. Generally, that's going to put you in better stead. Yeah.
Sleep.
Yes.
If it's unlikely you're going to get much sleep, is it better to just not train for a couple of days or to say sack off training for a few days?
No. Change your training.
Okay, so just less
Yeah.
intense training.
So yeah, if you've got a little your sleep is obviously going to be disrupted. But putting yourself in the best position to get the best quality sleep you can. So, like not having caffeine past 2 p.m, making sure you're hydrated, making sure you don't have a big meal lasting at night, no screen time for sort of the hour preceding bed, or TVs. You can put your phone away. Reading's good. If you do journaling, if you do some restorative movement, that's going to help. But yeah, putting yourself in the best possible position to maximise the time you can. I fully appreciate that if you've got a child or for any other reason that you might have broken up sleep, it can be difficult, but doing the best you can, yeah, literally, it can be as much as, right, I'm just going to hit bed at 9:30 every night, and if I'm woken up at 2 o'clock, I'm woken up at 2 o'clock. If you get a full night's sleep, that's awesome. So yeah, I could just mention there, making sure you're hydrated. Don't glug down, you think, fuck, I haven't drunk enough water. Don't down a litre before you go to bed, because I guarantee you'll wake up about 2 o'clock needing a piss. Yeah, sweet. Cool. Yeah, no caffeine after 2 p.m. Some people, when they say, oh, caffeine doesn't affect me, it might not impact your ability to fall asleep, but it will certainly impact your quality of sleep. So caffeine has a half-life of about 12 hours. So that means it's still in your system and still impacting you for 12 hours. Okay? So after 2 p.m, it's realistic enough to say, actually, do you know what, I really fancy a coffee after lunch. So you have one, it's not going to impact your sleep too much into the night. Okay? Yeah?
Cup of coffee, a cup of tea. We don't have no coffee.
Coffee.
Oh wait.
Unless it's decaf. Then it'll be tea. Yeah. Yeah, cup of tea. I don't know the exact amount in a cup of tea, but a cup of coffee, anywhere between 85 to 120 milligrams, depending on how it's poured. Okay.
About pre-workouts
I fucking hate them. Yeah. Pre-workouts. No one should ever be in a position to take a pre-workout. If you are in a position, you should be to take a pre-workout. You should be like in a completely relaxed state, super chill. You shouldn't have any other stresses in your life. You shouldn't be worried about sleep, all that sort of stuff. You're just mindful here. Yeah. Just yeah, I wouldn't touch pre-workouts with a shitty stick. Beta-alanine is something, it's like a lactate buffer, which is slightly different, but again, we won't go into that too much, because it's so that's, if you go and take a pre-workout and you get the tingles, or it's called paresthesia. It's like a tingly sensation, your face feels itchy. That can be sort of your blood vessels dilating, or blood rushing to the extremities, and just starting to get that sort of tingly feeling. That's from beta-alanine in pre-workouts. Pre-workouts generally contain caffeine and beta-alanine. If you want to take beta-alanine, awesome. Again, don't worry too much about it. Caffeine, again, we'll go through that in a minute, but 60 to 90 minutes, as well as a banana or some form of high GI carbohydrate is going to be as good a pre-workout as any. Sweet. Yeah, any other questions on that? I'm aware we might cover some of this again a little bit later, because I go off on tangent and talk a load of shit, so yeah, sweet. Intra-workout or on the day, breakfast. You should be looking to have breakfast about 2.5 to 3 hours before your first workout. Nothing too heavy. You don't need like a fuck off bowl of oats, because that's just going to sit in your system. You need to wake up and give yourself plenty of time to go through your normal morning routines, going through your normal poop, yeah? Because when you come to competitions, everyone downs their coffee, and then about 5 minutes before they need to go warm up, everyone hits the toilets to go do some shit. Yeah? Okay? I mean, yeah, nerves. So you want to try and keep your morning routine in terms of bodily function, hydration, breakfast, as close to normal as possible. Again, about 30 to 40 more grams of carbohydrates inside that breakfast, but yeah, 2.5 to 3 hours before. Okay? Allow yourself enough time to poop, etc., etc.
Make sure there's loo.
Make sure there's loo roll. Yeah. As we go through, so main focus points throughout the day. I've already mentioned it, hydration. Lots and lots and lots of fluids throughout the day. Even if you're just carrying a bottle just to sip on you, then it's going to be better for you because you're going to be stress sweating as well. So that's the thing. You're going to get into the arena, and believe it or not, although we're in a gym here, even when we come to March, even if it's still this cold, when you've got 24 athletes on the floor, 12 judges, you've got Greg chatting over the microphone, you've got me mincing up and down, then you've got 3 or 4 people deep, it gets really, really fucking warm in here. So you're going to realise how quickly it gets warm, how much you sweat, so making sure you're replenishing your fluids is essential. Again, protein to repair any damaged muscle. Try and stick to high protein, very, very low fat options because fat can slow down digestion, and if you've got 2 hours between a workout and you're still sitting heavy with food in your gut, then it's probably going to come back up or it's going to make you feel super sluggish throughout the workout. So lots of high protein foods, low fats. Okay, carbohydrates. This is the time when we can start to look at slightly faster acting carbohydrates. Fruit's really, really good. We don't want to have a load of sweets because they can jack up our blood sugar and start to give us sort of more highs and lows in terms of our energy levels. So by making sure you've had a good couple of days of carb loading and having fruits, or if you've got, so what have I got here? You want 60 to 90 minutes of pre-workout, small caffeine hit, and then your piece of fruit. If you've got longer than 2 hours, you can make that a little bit of a bigger refuel. Make sure there's protein in that, and then you can have, so again, protein shake and a banana. I know I'm going to keep coming back to sort of fruits and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to digest those, especially if you struggle eating. Me personally, I really, really struggle eating going through the day, so I'll make my meals really, really small and stuff like that. This is not the time to experiment. If someone goes, oh, you should try this, do not try this. Okay? If it's on a night out, very different, make your own life choices. Yeah? But on the day of the competition, let's just stick to what you know. It's not the time to be experimenting. Okay? So, suggestions. Again, all from my personal experience, you're very welcome to try any of these. Obviously, if you know that stuff works for you as well, then look at that. So peanut butter and jam sandwiches for me are awesome. I go very, very thin amount of peanut butter to spread on there, and then jam sandwiches on white bread. Bananas, apples, low fat cream cheese spread as well because it's a little more protein in there. That can also be mixed with jam, tastes delicious. Chocolate milk, banging, yeah, real good. No brands, any and all brands, but Choco Lush is the best. Okay, yeah. Emergency sweets. If you do really struggle to get food, or if you push yourself too hard and you've been sick, or you're really going to struggle to digest, yes, I know that happens. Yeah. If you feel like you really can't stomach anything, then sweets are an option because they're just going to give you that little bit of sort of blood sugar lift, but it's not something you should look to snack on all day. Again, speaking from experience, that does not end well. Okay? Vegetarian options can often be a little bit better than meat-heavy options, just because meat can take a little bit longer to digest than vegetarian options. Again, be careful of the macronutrient makeup of this, because sometimes if you're going for something that's heavy in beans, they can be slightly higher in fat, or they're very, very fibrous. So if you're not used to that volume, it can have adverse effects to your stomach, and then everything just shoots outside. Yeah? Okay? It's funny, like we talk a lot about shit and stuff. Yeah? Yeah, baby food. Some people, I have never tried eating baby food myself, but lots of guys, Andy, Ed, a lot of other guys as well at competitions, you will actually see walking around with some baby food because it's broken down. Macronutrient makeup is pretty good. If you have that, it's broken down so it's easy to digest, doesn't sit too heavy, and it's a really small portion. babysit. We are. Yeah. To clarify. No, exactly. See? It's got to be said.
No, it's true, because Roman in Spain, he competes, he's just walking around with all the baby food.
Yeah.
It's not just a 40-year-old person.
Okay. Protein powder.
Protein powder you can drink, because everyone's always got like a whey that's in it, but then it takes a lot of the whey that's supposed to fat.
Whey protein is whey protein. You're going to get different. Where you buy it, sometimes they put 85, 90, 95% whey protein. That's just varies the amount of volume. Just look at the quantity of protein per serving. Obviously, the higher the volume of whey protein in a serving, the less other shit they're going to put in it. But in my eyes, whey protein is whey protein. If that's what you're looking,
I don't know, which protein should it be?
I would just an impact whey. So bulk powders, whey isolate's pretty good. But yeah, if that's going to be an excuse for I didn't get a PB, you need to look elsewhere. Yeah. But yeah, no, just an impact whey isolate. We use Go Protein behind reception, which tastes delicious and really good. Any whey protein. Can't speak for vegan proteins. Pea protein isolate. I think Protein Works do really good.
Protein works in one protein.
Yeah.
One protein.
Yeah. So yeah, generally always got deals on as well. Sorry, what's that? Someone else? I heard a voice over there.
No, I just was just asking.
Okay. Any other questions on that? No? Sweet. No? Sweet. When it comes to refueling, so 2-day competitions, you will obviously need to refuel in the evening and stick to what we've gone through before, where you've gone through good quality carbohydrates. Obviously, the better quality food you put in, so as long as it's not been heavily deep fried or stuff like that, the better quality you're going to put in, the better you're going to feel the next day. You'll know how you feel after like a super heavy meal, excuse me, or if you've gone out with food and you've eaten too much, it's been really rich, indulgent food, you know you feel a little bit more sluggish the next day. So make sure the quality of food is there. So high carbohydrates, high protein, water, and like have a beer. Yeah, it's still a little bit of fun when, unless anyone has said otherwise, none of us here are professional athletes. Yeah, have a beer and relax, enjoy yourself. But yeah, don't have anything too out there. So I would avoid any sort of curry-based foods, anything super spicy, usual stuff. Again, go back to what we were saying earlier about Kate. Stick to boring and bland foods. That's probably going to be your better bet. Yeah. I think that's everything. Yeah. Anything or any other questions on nutrition? No. Sweet. Sweet. Wonderful. Right, everybody, up you get. Give me 5 air squats, 10 star jumps twice through, please. Just where you are. 5 air squats, 10 star jumps twice through. Yes, I know. Oh, don't drop your phones. Oh, for those of you that have just wolfed down some food, that's good. Did we hit depth on any of those, Alicia? Or?
No.
Wonderful. If anybody needs a toilet break, go now. We'll come back in a couple of minutes and go through. So we'll come back at 52. 52, and we're going to start the next bit. Rather than chatting too much, you get nice and warm.
Can I get a blanket?
Yeah.